Good morning everybody and welcome back to episode 53 of Quickfire Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you are interested in keeping fully up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe to the channel. We put out a new video every 12 hours. So this morning we've got an article from Crypto News and it's written by, excuse me if I pronounce this wrong, but it's Ruholamin Hakshanas. And it's titled, US Senator John Boozman says Bitcoin is a commodity. No doubt about it. And here is why. So let's see what his argument is. So US Senator John Boozman, who's a Republican for Arizona, has revealed that federal courts and the Securities and Exchange Commission chairman view Bitcoin as a commodity. In his opening remarks at the hearing entitled Why Congress Needs to Act, Lessons Learned from the FTX Collapse on Thursday, Boozman said Bitcoin is a commodity in the eyes of prosecutors. He added that exchanges that allow the trading of Bitcoin should be regulated by the CFTC. Bitcoin, although a cryptocurrency, is a commodity. It is a commodity in the eyes of the federal courts and in the opinion of the Securities and Exchange Commission chairman. There is no dispute about this, he said, adding, if there are exchanges where commodities are traded, be it wheat, oil or Bitcoin, then they must be regulated. It is that simple. The choice not to regulate leaves consumers at the mercy of those who would prey upon them. I don't think anyone's disputing that, or anyone thinks that governments are not going to come in and try and regulate Bitcoin. I don't think anyone's arguing that, so I don't know why he seems to be hung up on this point. But the interesting part of it all is, and I think individual governments are going to choose for themselves depending on what how they see it, is if you want to say that Bitcoin's a commodity, you could just as easily argue that it's a property. You could also argue that it's both. And then you could say, well, it was issued by somebody or something, so it has the qualities of a security. Although I do agree it's more like a commodity than anything else. But then where does that leave Ethereum? Where does it leave Polkadot? Where does it leave all the other ones? Where does it leave Monero, for example? I mean, Monero would not pass the Howey test in any way, shape or form. So how can you call that a security now? There's just so many, and there's so many tokens and cryptocurrencies now. There's over 20,000 cryptocurrencies now that they all have their own personality. You know, like Monero has it's privacy focused. Bitcoin has that immutability about it, but it can be traced. Ethereum is all about the next internet, the Ethereum virtual machine, and smart contracts and programmable money. It's just, and then you've got Polkadot, which is all about Web3, and it's just, I don't know how they are going to do this. It is just, this will be a regulator's nightmare. And you think all the countries, there's roughly 200 countries in the world. How are they all going to? They can't all agree. No countries agree on everything anyway. So crypto is just going to make it even more. Opinions divert even more away from each other. So it's going to be really interesting, and I look forward to watching governments struggle with this. The senator mentioned the collapse of FTX, once the third largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, saying that despite being a foreign company, it delivered losses to US customers. He added that the CFTC is the right agency to regulate digital commodities, which includes Bitcoin, and thus any crypto exchange that offers Bitcoin trading. He claimed the CFTC could help protect customers by building and implementing constructive, workable regulatory structures for markets to function on. Now, something that people ask me quite regularly is, what's the difference between a commodity and a security? And so I'll try and just give you how I view things and how I do it quite quickly. Is a security is something usually that can be issued. So, for example, a stock, like an Apple stock, is a good example of something that's issued because it didn't exist before Apple came along. They became a very successful company, went public, and so we've got the Apple stock that we can buy and trade, and that's been issued. It's been sort of created out of nothing, and so that gets regulated as a security. So all securities kind of, although they do have to pass a more rigorous test called the Howey test, which I'm not going to go into right now. There's plenty of information if you want to go out there and find it. Whereas a commodity is not issued by anybody. It's kind of, you have to go out there and get it. So oil is a commodity because you have to literally pull it out of the ground. Gas, gold, you know, all your sort of natural stuff that you have to go out there, silver, or, you know, all the precious metals. So anything that's issued or that can be issued, or its supply can be manipulated. So, you know, if Apple wanted to do a stock split, they could, as long as they got the permission from the SEC and all that, then they can do that. But you can't manipulate the gold supply. You know, there's only so much of it on the earth, and it's, you know, you can. There's just no way to manipulate the supply. I mean, you can manipulate the demand, and you can, you know, in turn manipulate the price to some extent, to some degree. But even then, it's very difficult to do, because you've always got somebody, you know, usually bigger working against you. So there is no better example of this than the CFTC's regulation of the futures market, which has proven to be one of the more resilient markets, in large part because of the CFTC's tried and trusted principles-based regulatory regime. Created in 1974, the CFTC is an independent agency of the US government that regulates the derivatives market, which includes futures, swaps, and certain kinds of options. Rustin Bonham currently serves as chairman of the CFTC. During the first congressional oversight hearing on Thursday, Bonham said cryptocurrency was potentially a threat to national security, after senators grilled him on the lack of regulation in the space. And Bitcoin is not a threat to governments as per se. It is a threat to governments' monopoly on over currency and their fiat currencies. Bitcoin is competition, and it's better. It's a better money. It whether you say it, well, I mean, you can call it a better money. It's certainly a more decentralized version of money. It's immutable. It's unstoppable, and it's fair. It's, you know, it's fairly distributed. You can mine it yourself. Anybody can go out there and mine it. Just with a lot of cryptocurrencies, you can't start mining. You can't start creating your own supply of dollars. You know, you'll go to prison. So it's and it just there's no one centralized entity that's controlling Bitcoin like there is with the Federal Reserve or the Treasury with the in the US and the UK. So it's so this competition that governments are facing now with the currency has never existed before. They've never had any competition. They've always had a monopoly of the, you know, how much currency is in circulation. What's the currency going to be made out of? Is it going to be made out of gold, silver, you know, plastic notes they've got in the UK now, paper money, copper, zinc, tin, you know, you name it. And now they've got a real competition, and there's nobody for them to go after. You know, Bitcoin's founder is anonymous, and it's not centralized, so there's no government that's behind it. There's no one place you can go and attack them. So, you know, it's here now. They are going to have to roll with this, whether they like it or not. And naturally, that just makes their own currencies weaker, because there's a new kid in town. Benham also noted that regulating crypto would not be an easy task. He said that cryptocurrencies will exist even if the US government wanted to completely ban them. He said that despite regulations and restrictions known as geofencing, 2% of FTX customers were from the US. That's not supposed to happen, he said. Folks will find a way to get exposure to offshore entities and activities, even if it's prohibited in the US, and we have to do something about that. So something to think about. You know, let me know in the comments whether you think Bitcoin, what would you class it as? Would you class it as a property, a security, a commodity? Let me know in the comments. It'll be interesting to see what you all think. And so that's this article. Remember, everybody, to please subscribe to the channel, join our team, and we will keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash the like button if you feel you got value from this video, and I'll see you all in 12 hours time.